Palantir is on fire. These are not my words, these are words of Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, during yesterday's presentation of Q1 2025 results. And he is absolutely right. Results are magnificent. Results are what we kind of predicted what will happen to Palantir in Q1 2025. So today we are going to talk about this. So quick preview about what we'll talk about in this video. First of all, we're going to discuss new customers of Palantir, new sectors which we haven't seen before, and this is kind of connected to what we've talked about in our previous videos. After this, we're going to talk about financial results which are kind of out of this world, and Palantir are actually setting new goals and new expectations for themselves. They have raised the guidance. I will give you just a snap preview of what's going to happen later in this video. All of the companies which we have seen lately, they are afraid to give their guidance for 2025 because the situation is, well, so unpredictable. Palantir gave their guidance and actually raised their guidance for the full year. And of course, at the end, we're going to talk about risks and we're going to talk about valuation of Palantir because, well, the company is awesome, the business is great, but the valuation is kind of the tricky part here. Hey there and welcome to the Market Monkeys channel. My name is Vadim. Today we're talking about Palantir's yesterday earnings results, which we've got, and results are just amazing and out of this world. So let's start from the kind of behind the numbers things. And first of all, if you open Palantir's presentation, you will see that Palantir are offering a Palantir degree. This is kind of the anarchist side of Alex Karp as a CEO. He talked about this in recent interviews that he doesn't want young people in US to go to colleges to get a degree. So now you can go and actually work for Palantir after high school if you are next level genius. After that, we have a bunch of kind of motivational presentation from the customers of Palantir, and usually these are kind of the good stories about the implementation of Palantir in different companies. What's really interesting, what we haven't seen before. So usually we are seeing a bunch of army stuff, some hospital stuff, but now we are starting to see financial companies, and now we're starting to see food companies. And this is exactly what my co-host Julia was talking about in her previous videos, that as soon as one company in one sector starts implementing Palantir, they are getting so much advantage over the rest of the companies that the rest of the companies need to kind of pick up their game and start dealing with Palantir as well. So here we have CEO of Wendy's and some guy from Heineken who are talking about how their supply chain is much better and how things that were taking months before are now being implemented in the matter of days. And the next slide is kind of stresses the same point. Here we are seeing Citibank and we are seeing AIG. So Citibank actually included Palantir in their earnings presentation and kind of talked about that the company is starting to work with Palantir. So we are already seeing food and we are already seeing financials, which are two kind of new sectors for the company. We haven't seen them before, but here we are. If you find this information interesting, valuable, don't forget to like this video and to subscribe to our channel. Now let's talk about numbers a little bit. If you have seen one of our previous videos, we have stressed time and time again that the most important thing for Palantir is their commercial sector, not the government one, because commercial is growing much more and commercial is much bigger than the government. And the US commercial sector is of course much better than the rest of the world. So Palantir are actually starting to focus on US commercial sector, and this quarter we have seen a growth of 71% year over year and 19% quarter over quarter. This is very impressive, like especially the 19% quarter over quarter in revenue in US commercial sector. This is the main engine of future Palantir revenue growth. By the way, if you are kind of wondering like, okay, they have grown for the past, I don't know, gazillion quarters, but will they grow in the next quarter as well? So the answer is kind of in the same slide. The answer is pretty much yes, because there is a metric which is called total contract value. And this metric has grown 183% year over year. So this metric includes kind of the revenue that was recognized and the revenue that wasn't recognized, but the contract was signed kind of for the future. So yes, Palantir has absolutely enough revenue in the future to kind of keep growing. Now let's talk about Rule of 40, because Rule of 40 actually gets their own slide in Palantir's presentation, and they are stressing this, well, for like year and a half, 2 years at least. So what is Rule of 40? We are taking margins, which margins each company calculates it differently. Some companies take EBITDA margins, some companies take gross profit margins, and we are adding to these margins their revenue growth. So both these two numbers in addition need to be more than 40. This is some kind of rule of thumb for growing SaaS companies, which shows that the company is profitable and the company is growing. So Palantir about a year and a half ago put for themselves a goal to have the score of 40 or above, of course, in the Rule of 40. So in the previous quarter, they have achieved a score of 81, which maybe there is a handful of companies in the world with a score like that. In this quarter, they have a score of 83. And Alex Karp, in his Q&A session after the earnings call, have talked about double gold standard of Rule of 40, so kind of Rule of 80. They are talking about this right now, so this becomes a new standard for Palantir. And I have to tell you, if they are keeping this score at 80, the company, like we have talked about Palantir being next $1 trillion company, they absolutely will be. They need to just keep it for the next couple of years. Palantir now has $5.4 billion in the bank, cash, and their margins for the cash flow are actually 42% now, which again, the company is just printing money, and the management of the company in the earnings call stated that the only investment they want to make right now is to attract the best and the brightest engineers in the world to work for Palantir. So they are not only focusing on the kind of financials and profitability of the company, they are focusing on pushing the technology more and more and more forward to kind of widen the gap between them and the rest of AI companies. Okay, so the crazy thing is that Palantir actually issued guidance for the full year. We have seen a lot of companies which did not do that. If you have a Seeking Alpha membership, you can go and check Julia's articles, and she talks about this in a lot of her articles, that the companies are kind of afraid, kind of suspicious to issue guidance for 2025. Palantir actually not only issued full guidance for the rest of the year, they have raised their initial guidance. So revenue is between $3.89 and $3.90 billion. Yes, because Palantir is kind of the subscription-based company, they already know the value of their whole contracts, and you can go and check out the previous earnings announcement. Palantir never misses. They know exactly how much they're going to earn, and they are always lowballing their revenue guidance and the net profit guidance, so you can expect them to beat these numbers comfortably. So US commercial revenue in excess of $1.17 billion, and they want a growth for full year in US commercial of 68%. These are very, very good numbers. The free cash flow they are expecting will be between $1.6 and $1.8 billion. These numbers are amazing. So we can all agree that Palantir business is an awesome one. Now, the problem is with valuation, because the business is great, but it's insanely expensive right now. And here's the thing, here's what I'm proposing to all of you. Yesterday, after these numbers went out, Palantir stock fell down around 9% post-market. And these are exactly the kind of situation when you need to have a laser focus, because obviously the business doing great, but the price of a stock is going down. So I suggest those of you who are interested in Palantir stock, but this is too expensive for you, set out an alert price for some price. Doesn't matter which one, 70, 80, 60, whatever. Set it up, because it's possible that due to all the sentiment in the market and all the uncertainties, Palantir stock can go down. And if it goes down, a company like that, this could be your opportunity to own a piece of great company, great business, which in the future we're expecting will be $1 trillion company. If you think I have missed something about why the stock of Palantir is falling despite these amazing numbers, please write it down in the comments because I'm genuinely interested in why this had happened. Don't forget to press the like button to subscribe to our channel, and we will see you next time. Take care.